Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome back to Ill Communication. My guest on this episode is none other than Will Marshall.
Hello, how you doing?
Yeah, he's programmed the famous VU meters on the APC template for me. But beyond that, he is a great friend of mine, and he's an excellent musician, and it's great to have you here, Will.
Thank you. It's been good. We've been in the studio working on a whole bunch of shit on the new templates we're building for. New MIDI fighter, new APC. It's good shit.
Yeah, man, super stoked. So Will has recently come here from New Zealand, by way of Australia, and he's programmed all sorts of things along the way. But he's really a master of the APC, and he's made a video in this furry room about his own APC template for the new APC, which you can check out. We'll link it in the description below. But what can you say about like the new APC template? Like, what's your favorite thing about it?
The favorite thing about it is I've got these buttons rigged up, which are called momentaries, where you hold the button down, the effect turns on, and you let go, and it turns off. There's nothing to worry about. You can't like accidentally leave shit on. It's just there. And I've gone all crazy and put in great automation and shit like that. But that's whenever it's in the studio and I'm playing shit, it's just wired into Ableton. I'm constantly pressing those buttons just to amuse myself. It's cat crack. I love it. So that's my cool thing.
Yeah, that was a real challenge too. Programming wise, all of my earlier templates, I would have to have all these weird like dummy clip systems.
Yeah.
To which by the way, if you're gaming it, the way the dummy clip. Get a dummy clip that automates what you want to do, and then set it to retrigger and to the smallest amount of time, and then you can make it hold. But it's quantized and not that precise. And it was Will's scripts that enabled us to create those momentary effects on the APC template. So Thanks again for that. That's a great problem to have solved, you know. So Will is also a very, very seasoned musician. He's been in the charts a few times, and he's recently had a pretty fundamental shift in musical direction that is, in my opinion, a very, very good thing. But Will, what can you tell us about this change in direction for you?
So like for the last few years, up until now, I've been writing like kind of UK style breaks music. So I've been on a label called Broken Robot Records, you may have heard, and it's, you know, all boom ch, heavy, big fucking bass lines. Sounds like a robot made it, right? Like it is in no way organic, absolutely nothing. That's been keeping me entertained, but I got sick of it. Now, back in the day, I used to play jazz trumpet in a big band, and that was my thing for quite a while. I loved that. It was awesome. And I started recently, a while back now, listening to particularly all these old big band recordings, and I figured out, I don't know why it took me so long to work this out, that old jazz and big band jazz was like the dance music of its generation. It's big, it's upbeat, it's happy, it has these huge drops, and the musicians in it are phenomenal. So I've been going back in and learning all this kind of pop jazz theory, not like super avant-garde nuanced jazz theory, but like how does a big band work? How do the chords work? How does everything fit together? And really wrapping my head around that, pulling a whole bunch of that stuff in, pulling a whole bunch of hip-hop production. Hip-hop's got like really great approaches to sampling, resampling, cutting up, all of that.
This shit is cool,
soul.
Trust me.
So we've been like taking big band kind of jazz arrangements and the way everything fits together and the way the songs work. We've been taking like hip-hop production, the drums and the fatness, and we've been taking kind of glitch hop, particularly the bass lines, because you just can't do bass lines on anything other than a synthesizer like that, right? You just can't get that low, you can't get that clean. And I've been working on fusing that shit all together, so it's like kind of swing, but it's got big bass lines and the drums are compressed to shit and kind of punch you in the face. It's kind of finding this middle ground, and it's so much goddamn fun to write. It's ridiculous. Long term, my kind of big plan here is to bust that all out to session musicians, so to have a trumpet group and a key player and stuff like that, and then have all my drums and all my bass lines done from the root up so that it's big and heavy.
Sweet. So, having gone through this exploration of more traditional music theory recently, if someone else were to like jump into learning about chords and scales and stuff, are there any resources or starting points that you could recommend to them?
Yes, so there's a website called Hook Theory, which is like your #1 go-to point for getting the basics of music down, and it really helped me get off the ground pretty quickly, because I learned theory back in the day, but I've forgotten it all. I was a kid when this happened. happen, right? So hook theory is all looking at pop and basic chord progressions and stuff like that. There's a book, there's an iPad version, it's got lots of interactive exercises, so you really get it like bedded into your head. All you need is a keyboard or something to practice on, and you can work through that in, 2 or 3 days and get all the fundamentals of pop, which means jazz, which means everything, kind of in your head all at once. And from there, honestly, there are a lot of YouTube videos of like different keyboard players showing you things, but I would just start Googling and looking into 7th chords, 9th chords, jazz progressions, stuff like that. There's a famous, I think it's called the Advanced Jazz Theory book, like it's the classic jazz theory book, which I'm working through. I can't remember the name, we can put it in the comments below.
We'll just link it in the comments.
We'll look this up. But that's like the classic go-to. And the thing to remember is like, this theory is way simpler than it looks. It's all written in the super archaic, old-fashioned language, because it goes back to the dawn of time, basically. Well, not quite, but they're back in the day, they used to make things hard for the sake of it. And it's actually
keep the layman out of the trade.
Keep the layman out of the trade. Make it so
it's to be very pretentious. I'm glad music is so much less pretentious.
It's way simpler than they make you think. Like when you actually start wrapping your head around it, it's like there's this barrier of how it's talked about in the terminology just being kind of shitty terminology, not well thought out.
Lots of pretentious Latin terms. And
lots of Italian, lots of Latin. It's all bewildering. But once you actually get it, the underlying ideas are simple. So like, learning jazz changes, listening to a lot of big band stuff, and actually like listening to drummers, there's a lot of like YouTube videos of drummers showing you how to do this groove or that groove. You may not know how to drum, but if you're in the studio and you've just been watching a whole bunch of drummers show all these grooves, you can just like rock out those, those rides or whatever.
All the spots in the groove are in a pattern of 16.
I've got to the point where I can just be like, I want a drum fill, so I'm just going to do a drum fill, and I know how drum fills work. I have this language in my head, which is kind of how these things fit together, and I can sequence that shit and I'm not lost. So it's like, look at what traditional musicians do, look at what each member of the band does and what their theory is, how they think about that. Learn it all and then do it all electronically and put it all back together yourself. Awesome.
Sweet. That sounds like some great homework. Hey, you are also earlier, I remember you showed me this app called Suggester.
Oh,
which was another, I think, could help you on your quest if you're interested in this.
So Suggester, you get it for iPad or iPhone. It's amazing. So when you're learning chord theory, the first thing you'll learn is a set of chords called the diatonics, which is basically you pick a key like G minor or whatever, and there's a set of chords that are in that key. And pretty much every awesome pop song you'll ever hear is just, or rock song or anything, is just all built off these diatonics.
Diatonic chords.
And Suggester will let you pick a key, and it will give you buttons for every single diatonic chord in that key. It'll tell you what notes there are. It will give you all the variations. So it will give you the 7ths. It will give you the 9ths. It will give you the suspended chords. You'll find out what these are eventually. It's amazing. Cool. And you can put them all together into chord sequences and like figure out a really, really awesome, really goddamn catchy chord progression quickly, just pushing buttons, load it up. You can export it as MIDI, or you can just like program it straight into your DAW when you're done. And it's just this amazing way, especially if you're not a piano player and you don't have the finger chops to just like play some 9th chords. Like that takes practice. But you can get in there and just push the buttons, hear the chord progressions, and go from there. And
and if it's the one you want, then it spits out MIDI too.
Yeah, it's invaluable.
Cool.
I've got to the point where it's just open next to me in the studio all the time because I'm just pushing buttons to work out what things should happen next. It's great.
Sweet. Cool. Well, that's exciting, man. Hey, so thanks so much for dropping by. It's been great to hang out. Lots of love. Thanks so much for watching, everybody.
Enjoy. Learn your chords.
Peace. Learn your chords.